Finnish food is kind of like the Finnish people. Finnish people are very simple in what they do. And their food is pretty simple and pretty basic, meaning they like to eat potatoes and different types of meat and sauce over potatoes and things like that. They're generally pretty healthy eaters, meaning they do eat lots of vegetables and things. But for the most part, their food is pretty simple. The biggest thing that I really liked about Finnish food and Finnish cuisine is their pastries called pulla. And it's a Finnish type of sweet roll. And there's actually different versions of pulla. And some have cream cheese in the middle, some have fruit inside, some have raisins and nuts inside. But they're all so delicious. You just have to limit how much you eat. But pulla is really good. And they also have they look like little rice cakes. They're called riisipiirakka. And it's basically a rye bread type of shell. And then you have a rice porridge inside. Sometimes it'll be rice, sometimes it'll be potatoes, and sometimes it'll be sweet potatoes. But it's with the rye bread, and then you bake it. And you can put butter or egg or cucumber or ham on top. And it's like a little sandwich. And it's really good. It's a really good meal when you're in a hurry. And those are some of my favorite things about Finnish food. But it's pretty basic and simple, which for me I really liked and enjoyed. That I wasn't expected to see these fancy meals or go to make these fancy meals. It's pretty basic.
Finnish food, it's honestly it's very good. I'm sure everyone says about that. Wherever they're serving the food is delicious. So Finnish food, so there's a lot of dairy. So people love milk, and it's the best milk you'll ever have. A wide variety of cheeses of all sorts, and so you have tons of cheeses. You also have just huge dairy, like tons of yogurts, everything. It's just delicious. At the same time, a lot of food is many different soups with like hot dogs or sausages, I guess is a translated word. It's called a makara. But anyway, pretty much it's just the basic potatoes, meat, kind of brown sauces and all this kind of stuff. There's spices. They don't use any spices. I mean, nothing spicy. They will use like for Christmas dishes and that kind of stuff. For instance, to name like some basic foods you might be eating every day. If you visit a member's home, very common thing is naki keito, which is just it's like a sausage soup. Very common. It's just very great stuff they make. It's just everything's homemade and very few processed goods. And so, for instance, if you're buying fruit or vegetables, you need to eat them quickly because they don't last long, because they're very fresh and very delicious. And at the same time, they're not processed or any I don't have like any additives, and so they will not be last. They don't have a long shelf life. And at the same time, the bakery goods are delicious. I'm sure if we had, they're pretty fattening, I'm sure, but very good bakery goods. All sorts of delicious bread like pulla, which we don't have in America. It's a rich, thick bread. Very good though, very common. You'll have very often. Other things will be eaten all the time are a wide variety of berries. Because it's a swampy kind of place, not like swampy dirty, just a lot of lakes, no mountains, and so because of all the lakes, it's very moist and it rains a lot, and so they have you'll ride your bike down paths all the time, and you'll find just strawberries, raspberries, blueberries just growing out all over the place. And so you'll have many wide varieties of jams, and that's honestly one of the big things is you'll have jam with your meat, with a lot of things, and so it's delicious. I love it. I love jam. At the same time, very common thing you'll have for lunch almost every day is probably open-ended sandwiches, which is just like it's a slice of you call it ruis lepa, which is just rye bread. They don't have white bread. They rarely use white bread. It's very healthy, whole wheat, or it's rye bread. And you'll just have, with your meat on there, with your cheese. Of course, you're going to put the butter on. They love their butter. And it's very plain food, but it's very good because it's just so fresh and everything's homemade. And then a few random foods. I'm sure you might have heard of it. Mammy is something they eat during Easter, which is just, you could say, blended rye bread, and they turn it into it almost looks like they put it onto like a platter, almost like a little pan or something, and they cook it. It doesn't taste good. They don't even like how it tastes, but they put a lot of cream with it. It's just a tradition. They eat it. And so you eat that once a year for Easter. And then Christmas, you'll have casseroles like crazy. My favorite dish in Finland is liver casserole. Sounds gross, but it's really good. I love liver casserole. They're so great at making liver. You go to restaurants, order liver. It's very good. And so liver casserole is pretty cheap, and members will make it for you, or you can buy it at the store for, I think it's 99 cents or something. Anyway, I would get it all the time. And you have liver casserole, you have carrot casserole, potato casserole, then you have other ones of like certain things that we don't have in America. But yeah, and then delicious drinks, a lot of juices, and Finns drink a lot of coffee and tea, but obviously we won't be drinking that as missionaries. And so they have delicious juices of wide varieties, and the snacks, everything is good. I didn't taste anything that was gross besides the traditional food that they eat that's gross on purpose, at least in my opinion. And then you have porridge and that kind of stuff too. So everything is just great. You don't have to worry about anything, and you'll eat plenty of fish. I forgot that. Salmon. I love salmon. It's so good. Salmon, halibut, and some other fish dishes. No sushi. I didn't really have any sushi. They don't, in missionaries, we don't eat sushi anyway. So anyway, but yeah, food's good there.
Well, Finland is a pretty Western country, so you don't have to worry about being in a country where they eat completely differently from the way you're used to eating. They have grocery stores everywhere. The only weird foods you'll eat are the ones that you choose to eat, essentially. And I think you should try some of the Finnish dishes, but you don't have to be worried. They have bread, they have fruit, they have cereal, they have peanut butter. You might have to look a little bit for the peanut butter. Lidl is the store that sold peanut butter when I was in Finland. And it'll be like a little bit different from what you're used to, but not very much. You can pretty much, the only thing you can't buy is like root beer, So don't be worried about eating. Eating is great in Finland. Some things that I love about Finnish food are it is fresh. They don't use preservatives in hardly anything. So the bread is fresh. The milk is fresh. Pasteurized, but fresh. The cheese is fresh. One thing that does mean is you have to eat it faster than you would in America. It won't keep for a long time. Like, I had a loaf of bread for like 3 months and it didn't go moldy. That is not true in Finland. You have like 2 weeks maybe for the bread, maybe a week on the milk. Okay, so you have to eat it quickly when you buy it, but you can buy it. I love rye bread. In Finland, it's called ruisleipä. It's a dark rye, not like the rye bread we have in America. It's chewier and a bit hardier, so you'll need to adjust to it, but it's very good, very filling. They sell it everywhere. Eat it, it's good. They also have oat bread that's better than any bread I've had in the United States ever. I love bread. Finnish bread is the best. Finnish cheese, milk, ice cream, all the dairy products, super awesome. In terms of dishes, what they call perusuruoka will be like potatoes, meat chunks, and like a gravy sauce. So you have your boiled potatoes that are not peeled. That's okay. Don't worry about it. It's great. And then you pour over it like this meaty gravy sauce. It's like gravy, but with the meat chunks put in it and all cooked together. So it's super good. With a side of like boiled carrots and then lingonberries or puolukka. Those are those tart berries. Basically, if you go to IKEA and eat the meatballs, that's kind of what Finnish perusuruoka is. Tastes really good. But you'll also be able to find everything there from like Asian and Mexican, Latin American. So my mom always used to ask me, like, what do Finns eat? As if it was some strange, weird, like if you went to China, you'd have to eat duck or something, or like dog. There's nothing like that in Finland. It's a Western country. It has some Scandinavian traditions, but you can find pretty much anything you want there. But I love perusuruoka. It's so good. Also, if you ever get the chance to eat reindeer meat, do it. It's so good. It's so good. And where else in the world are you going to get to eat reindeer? Since Finland is up north, they eat a lot of fish. It's a big part of their diet. If you don't like fish, I didn't like fish. I still don't really like fish, but I could eat fish now. Salmon, they eat a lot of salmon. And it's actually really good in Finland because it's so much fresher than you would be able to get in many places in the United States. So the salmon, eat it. You can just like smoke it. Don't eat the raw smoked salmon, eat the cooked smoked salmon. Depending on your mission president, you might not even be allowed to eat the raw salmon. What else? There's lohikeitto, which is this cream-based soup that they make with the salmon and potatoes and dill, and it's really good. So good. There's one fish dish that you should definitely try when you're in Finland, but I'm not going to guarantee that you like it. It's called silli. And what it is, it's pickled herring. And it comes in a variety of flavors. You just got to try it. You might like it, you might not, but it's something you definitely have to eat at least once. Also, there's an Easter dish called mämmi. It's I don't even know, it's made out of rye. It's supposed to be a dessert, but you have to put a ton of sugar on it to make it sweet. If you tell the members that you haven't eaten mämmi yet, they might just force it on you right then and there, so just be prepared for that. And it's not bad. I like mämmi.
So like I said, you're not going to like Italy where the food is world renowned. Finnish food is pretty boring. It's pretty plain. I had one member kind of jokingly tell me like, yeah, the only thing we ever use is salt. And he said, you can't use too much salt because then it's too strong. You would go to like some of the foreign restaurants. There's a lot of Middle Eastern restaurants there, a lot of Asian restaurants. And we'd always request things like extra spicy, and they'd be like, okay, I'll make it super spicy just for you. And it like wouldn't be spicy at all. I'd feel like they put maybe a little bit of pepper on it because they know if they make stuff spicy, the Finns hate it. I ate potatoes with every meal that I ever went to, which I'm from Idaho, so I was completely fine with that. But they love boiled potatoes. So if you don't like boiled potatoes, you better learn how to like that really quick. It was really funny to go get American food in Finland. You know, whether you went to McDonald's or to go get pizza, it was like this like awesome treat. I remember I hate McDonald's, but the first time I went there, 6 months into my mission, I ate my cheeseburger. And I just remember thinking like, oh, it tastes like America. This is so good. And I think we ate at McDonald's every day for a week after that because we couldn't get enough of it. And going back to the pizza's awesome because it's not like American pizza. It's very European, really thin crust, tons of toppings. I've had everything from like every type of fruit imaginable on a pizza, whether it's pineapple, mango, cherries, lingonberries, to something as strange as reindeer meat. I have had a reindeer meat pizza, but the pizza is awesome because it's always just like a fun occasion. Whenever you go get pizza, you're like with other missionaries, whether it's a zone conference, and you go and you try out these like just bizarre combinations. And I have like, as weird as that is, I have like awesome memories of getting pizza in Finland. Like some of the most like fun, relaxing times where it's like you kind of have a little break in what you're doing, where you know, it was just always really fun. The only gross thing that I do have to, you will not have heard this before, the only gross thing I have to warn people about, the Christmas food is awful. It's like still to this day the worst food I've ever had. Traditional Finnish Christmas food is a salad that's made of beets, pickles, and apples chopped up. And then they eat ham, which isn't bad, with like a gravy thing on it, which, like I said, isn't bad. But then you have potato casserole, which is not good. Carrot casserole, which is even worse. And then like a turnip casserole, which is like even more worse than that. I threw up my first Christmas. We had 3 dinner appointments in one day, and we just kept eating this gross food over and over again. And just for the record, the Finns don't like it either. I don't know why. It's like tradition. Like the old people like it, no one else does. But by round 3, I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And so my next Christmas, I got moved into an area 2 months before Christmas, and I stood up and bore my testimony. And I said, now, not to be culturally insensitive or rude, but the Finnish Christmas food is really bad. And so if somebody wanted to invite us over and just make like chicken or something like that, I said, we would love you. And somebody did that for us. But the Christmas food, Christmas is the most incredible day. They love Christmas. They celebrate it really, really well. But the food is not part of that, just as a heads up. They also drink, oh, this is funny. They drink non-alcoholic beer on Christmas. And it's pretty strong. I would be pretty surprised if anybody could really drink much of it. Because there's no alcohol in it, but it still kind of tastes the same. It's got like that. I mean, I guess I don't really know because I've never drank. But it just burns the whole way down, and it's not good. So just watch out for Christmas, because Christmas is a little rough. They also, one really quick thing, they're really big into what they call makara. It's just like sausage, and it's pretty incredible. You know, you go buy it at the store, the members will make it for you. They cut it up and grill it all the time, especially during the summer. Like, I'm salivating just thinking about it now. It's like, it's pretty good. Like all sorts of different types, like stuff filled with cheese, stuff filled with this, and it's always a lot of fun to go to a makara grilli. It's pretty great.
I could go on this for days. I love Finnish food. It was really great. I think it maybe takes a little bit of getting used to in the beginning. I know that their dairy is a little bit rich, but it's so good. Like, oh, the yogurts and the ice cream is just like, it's something else out there. And I think too, pretty much every meal that we had, especially for like dinner appointments, was some sort of meat with some sort of potatoes and then some sort of like sauce or gravy on top. So like, it was great. I mean, we had like meatballs all the time, and then we had, you know, like, just like I said, some sort of meat with potatoes and gravy. So that was kind of, I felt like most of the entrees, but there's so many good foods out there. I mean, they've got these little, like riisipuro, which is just like and karjan piirakka. Karjan piirakka is just like this little like pie that has like rice and like potatoes in it, and they just come and it's just so good. Like, it's like this little like handheld pie that you can just, you know, take on the go, and you just eat them, and they're so delicious. And then I think another thing too is sinappi, which is the Finnish mustard. let's just say that every time I go to Finland, or there's sometimes that we have to buy it online so we can get it here. All my family loves sinapi now, and all my friends do too. And whenever we're barbecuing or something, they're just like, "Do you have sinapi? Like, we need some sinapi." So you could definitely have to try the sinapi, which is the Finnish mustard. Even if you don't like mustard, try sinapi. It might turn you around to the mustard life. But it's just so good. And then like they've got some really good desserts as well. One of the things that I really liked was memmi, and this is kind of a hit or miss with missionaries. Some missionaries don't really like it, but it's kind of like it's like molasses and like some like rye as well, and it's kind of mixed up. It looks black. It almost looks like a black pudding, but then you scoop it up, put it in a bowl, and then you put cream and sugar on top of it, and it's really good. And then they have salmiakki, which is salted black licorice, which I'll be honest takes a little bit of getting used to, but there's at the end of, by about halfway through your mission, you're going to be looking for something to put in your mouth. You always put a little salmiakki in there, and you just kind of suck on that for a little bit, and it's great. So the food overall was just amazing, and I just loved everything about it. Like I said, the dairy can be a little bit heavy, but it's so good. It's the best. It'll change your life for sure. Salmon soup is it's called lohikeito in Finnish, and it changed my life forever. I mean, it's the greatest soup I've ever had in my entire life, and it's kind of fun. It's like the one thing that I've really taken back with me, and I make it for my family, every so often, and just make it for friends sometimes. But it's just like salmon with like there's like usually some sort of like greens, like some green onion or something in there, and potatoes, and it's just in this like broth and like some cream that they add in as well. It's really good. So you definitely have to try the salmon soup, and you'll be hooked. So they've got some really good sodas out there. Pommac, I think, is something you'd have to try as well. And the Dr. Pepper tastes a lot better out there. I don't know what the deal is, but definitely try some Pommac. The candies, I mean, you can just go and like the chocolate is really good, so you can go get some Fatser chocolate and just kind of experiment with which ones you like. You've got to buy a lot of different bars, but sooner or later you'll find that one. And my companion and I, we used to have in the middle of the winter when we were up in Rovaniemi, which is the northernmost city in the mission, we used to have this thing that says 800 grams a day keeps depression away. So we ate a lot of chocolate, and when it's dark outside and it's cold, it's always nice to come back and have that bar of chocolate that you can kind of go and munch on. So I think just go to the candy store, go to the convenience stores there, and pick out some candies, find something that looks good. But yeah, any sort of the Fatser bars, you're not gonna regret buying. So it was a lot of chocolate. So we were walking and riding bikes a lot. So hopefully we burned some of it off, but it's not the most healthy experience.